Finally got to talk to an officer today. There's a lot of need help turning in, and of course trying to get these guys to look at evidence when I got it there in person. They can look at it. Going to the library, that's a possibility. But we got to make it so that it is an actual possibility for me to go there and to utilize those facilities. All this stuff that I've had to do myself should have been done with a police officer there. Cops should have taken this seriously before Natalie Bollinger was killed. Now there's a lot more people who are dead. Thanks for not listening to me. Anyway, I was trying to explain to the officer about the situation with Molly. His name is David Martinez, and he was, he seemed to already know about the Dolphin. That's a type of RV, the one that racist old guy is in. I gotta go through and find the stuff with Logan and Shayna. I don't have a place to do it. Going to the library to do this, that sort of can work, but there's the fact that I gotta unbury a bunch of crap. The stuff that keeps me alive is on top. Blankets, food, stuff like that. The stuff buried underneath is a whole bunch of evidence. I got some of the evidence in my backpack here. I got some of it on the internet. I got some of it on a computer. I've got evidence from all over the country of abuse. Now, it's not just a matter of that man's name. It's a matter of the severe quantity of abuse over the situation with Natalie Bollinger over all these years of needing help with that and not getting help with it. When I was told I needed to go to Scott DaCosta to try to turn in Ted Bollinger, after everything that Scott DaCosta had already done, you have any idea how fucked up that was? Scott DaCosta didn't just help Robert Franklin Mornick to get away with his crimes. He helped Polly Olson to get away with hers. He helped his deputies to get away with theirs. He helped the Bollingers to get away with theirs. He helped Joshua Rayborn and Amy Kalina Kingery, a.k.a. Amy Spencer. He helped them get away with their crimes. He helped Sandy Fromm get away with her crimes. And this is the guy that you're not understanding, that I tried to turn him in, and I was literally put in prison for trying to turn in him. That'd be Scott DaCosta. His receptionist, Leslie Snell. Her friend and neighbor, Robert Franklin Mornick. And of course, William Barr, a former Denver police officer who is the one that verified Natalie Marie Bollinger's Craigslist post was real. According to William Barr, Natalie Bollinger actually posted that more than once. He also claimed that he was doing internet investigations. And then, of course, in his paperwork, when they worked together to prevent me from taking them to court and to have me illegally imprisoned on false charges so that Scott DaCosta could gain access to evidence of his wrongdoing and that of his deputies, including Sean Holloway and James Hammond. I gotta tell you, folks, I'm pretty disgusted with this country right now, but I'm thankful for the lady at Tides of Change. She's not quite understanding yet, and it'd be nice if I could get her to look at evidence. If she'd look, she'd understand. That's the thing. Mandy Singer, she didn't understand, and then once she looked, she knew to be scared. Mandy Singer and her daughter are two of my contacts there in McCook. When it comes to the disappearance of Sonny Ceramic and the involvement of Andrea Hall, as well as I don't know if it was my first or my second day there, police blasted a man at the Walmart. The cop ran out in front of a police car, the cop ran out in front of a man who was shopping for groceries for him and his wife and his kids. The officer runs out in front of this vehicle, bounces off of it, pulls out his gun, and fucking shoots the man. I had to try to go to them for help. As far as Nebraska law goes, and Colorado law, and verified here by an officer today, Oregon law. Yes, the stuff that happened in Hood River because of the conflicts of interest there. No, they're not investigated by the officers here. They can take down the preliminary information, and from there they proceed whether or not they're going to have another agency. I got to call the government advocacy office. One of the biggest issues with the lady at Tides of Change is that she's going to do something that I am 100% against. That's making calls on my behalf and making calls for me, doing the paperwork for me. I am against that. I need to know how to do those things myself. If I've got 8 to 12 hours by myself where I could be doing something, I'd like to be doing it. If you can help me to fill out the paperwork for just one of these situations, I can get myself a copy. I can try to make photocopies and get this going myself, but I need to know how to do it. I need help making sure that it's done right. There's a lot of people who could have helped me. There's a lot of people who screwed me over real heavy in the past that after Natalie's death wanted to come back into my life, tell me they wanted to help. People like, Josh Hughes. But then it turned out all he wanted to do was talk to me about playing video games. Didn't want to actually play them though. He wanted to talk about it. Like, dude, I need help. Later on, Christine don't talk to me. I'm not some sort of a nut to dead people. Or rather, the idea of them still being around if they're dead. And that's an odd concept to me. They're dead. They're dead. And I've had several therapists tell me, hey, you need to write it in a letter to Natalie, or you need to, even if you have to maybe pray to her, or, if you're a religious person, maybe you try saying to her the things that you'd say to her if she were here in real life. Like, fuck. That ain't gonna work. I need real help. I'm not talking to imaginary, and that's, at this point, that's all that's left of Natalie, is how we imagined her to be. I don't know all the good things that she did in her life, or all the evil things that she did in her life, but I do know how she interacted with me. And I know that in real life, she was really good to me. I also know that the situation with my birthday and that broken phone was where she started being evil. And it was because she was embarrassed over a situation that I did not create. Yes, I was a part of it. You guys want to keep doing this hindsight is 2020 crap and go, oh, well, you could have said no to the phone. I did say no to the phone. But Alicia, she was real heavy on pushing it. She was telling me she works at Cricket and she wants to get something for me for my birthday. Her and Natalie both pushed that real heavy. They wanted to get me something for my birthday. Unfortunately, Alicia gave me Natalie's old phone. And it was already busted to shit. Now, I do have the recording of the situation today on my iPad. I probably should go through and I want to say it's about 50 minutes long or so. Let me see. Looks like 1 hour, 58 minutes, and 46 seconds. So it's actually about 2 hours long. Anyway, in this, there's a lot of useful information. That's me in their office. You have to wear the mask so, people are paranoid and all that. It is legit 1 hour and 58 minutes long. Almost 1 hour and 59 minutes long. That's while I'm waiting. Still waiting at that point.
I don't. You know what kind of vehicle it is? Yes, it's the Dolphin. I call it like a RV. Yes, sir. This is it. This is the rest stop here. This one is over at the Fred Meyer. There's 6 or 7 of them all together just since I lived to the river. So you don't know anybody's name? They never told you his name? He did tell me his name, and it's in my recording, but I don't have the name process it because I'm with that. Okay. And just out of curiosity, this guy is here in Tillamook County? Yes, sir. He has followed me to like 4 or 5 different locations. Okay. Now, what does he do? What are the things that he does?
Anyway, this guy, now obviously I'm not going to be able to find exactly the right spot. I thought that was it, and that might actually be it. Where the officer says he's looking for a feller similar. He was wanting a description. He was wanting to know if I had a picture of the feller, and I do, absolutely, on my YouTube channel. So I got to try to go through what I can and write down the names of those videos and try to get it sent to him. The people at Tides of Change, I have permission to send my emails to the police. The ones that I send to the police, I have permission to send with their name in it as well, and sent to their emails as well. That way and also I had to sign a release so they can talk to this officer, David Martinez, and it's a real screwed up situation, and it's a goddamn shame that cops prior to this didn't do their jobs. There's also, at one point he does what a lot of cops do, which is he stops to explain a situation for other cops elsewhere. No, that's not your job. Those cops elsewhere blatantly broke the law, and the situations that I've been in, if you watch them, you'll realize how blatantly the law has been used to abuse the shit out of me. Obviously, if the law is being used to abuse somebody, that law is being used out of context. And that's something that we need to steer clear of and stay away from. Kind of like the situation with mandated reporters that I've been dealing with for the last 6 years. How they want to change the law or use one little part of mandated reporter training as an excuse not to do their jobs. Like, so many people have pretended that it's just for children. Mandated reporting is only if it's children. That's bullshit. That is complete fucking bullshit. And then the people saying, well, could you just not go there? Could you just not go to Fred Meyer? You know, could you just not go to Boulder? Could you just not go to Chapel? Hey, could you move out of Chapel? Like, shit. All these people who want to, instead of help me to turn in the crimes as they're happening, these people want to try to talk me out of turning in those crimes. Coast to coast. That is intimidation. It has already been decided that that is intimidation. It is already, according to every state in the union and federal law, that is intimidation. The problem, again, is no teeth. Qualified immunity is not qualified immunity, it's toothlessness. What good is a cobra gonna do when it's got no fangs? What good is a rifle without bullets? Laws with no teeth. That means there's no way to make sure the law is actually followed. If there's a mandated reporter and they have to turn these crimes in immediately, and you've told them about these crimes, telling them is enough to get the investigation started. But there's also the fact that there's all this evidence that they do need to pursue and assist me in getting it to them. I don't have the ability to do it for myself. That's the problem with this victimization. It has deprived me of resources, and it is depriving me of my fucking sanity. When you tell a rumor in 2016 that results in a man who can't take care of himself being victimized repeatedly, even after driving 1,700 miles away, over a goddamn lie. And then here we are in 2022, I'm still having to endure this. All of my money for disability that was supposed to be used to take care of myself was being spent to pay my fucking predators. For me to be able to go to another jurisdiction to turn in the crimes that are committed against me because of safety reasons. Absolutely, those things do need to happen. Now, this lady from Tides of Change, she said she is an actual advocate. She is actually trained. That's good, because she screwed up the first time. I'm glad this time that she understood. Yes, we do need to work on the housing and getting my disability. That is super important. Absolutely. But stopping the victimization in this area so that I can stay in the area long enough to utilize those services is more important, because if I am run off over this victimization before those services kicked in, and then I'm told I didn't try because I was forced to move again because of victimization that had to go unreported because the people I'm supposed to go to help me to report it are not doing so, and me trying to report it to cops directly results in me getting blown off, the shit can't be happening. In order for her to advocate for me, she has to know what the hell is going on. Which means she needs to listen. It means she needs to look. See, a lot of this is confusing as fuck when I try to explain it, but once they start looking at the evidence, it's, holy shit, Sean. How the fuck did they get away with this? Well, pretty simple, actually. People like you didn't look or speak up. So will you speak up? Oh yeah, Sean, I'll speak up. 6 months later, I'm still listening to fucking crickets. I get that you're scared. You're allowed to be. But if you're allowed to be, so am I. I'm not allowed to be afraid for my family from people who are actually threatening to kill them. I'm called paranoid for it and treated like I'm delusional. But then these other people, when I say, hey, there's other people whose lives were threatened and their families were threatened and their kids were threatened, when they speak up, they're heard, except no, they want to blame it on me. It's my fault they spoke up. In the wrong place, to the wrong people, and didn't even bother to have the right information. They wanted to speak out their asses. Shannon Alvarado trying to get her help through her fucking conspiracy theories. Not gonna happen. I asked her for simple shit. Come forward about what you fucking know. Come forward about this shit with Kara Johnson Miles. Help me to get this shit in fucking court. But she didn't. Her excuse for not trying was that she was in California. Kara Johnson Miles was able to do so from Texas. Kara Johnson Miles was allowed to lie and slander me in court in Colorado, all the way from fucking Texas. All because Shannon Alvarado wasn't going to make any goddamn effort whatsoever in showing the abuse by the Bollinger family or their friends like Kara Johnson Miles. Zero fucking effort. Lots of promises. Lots of fucking promises. The problem is that none of this comes together without another civilian on my side. Let's take a look at the people who almost went in with me in Hood River. Drew. Andrew. That's it. And he was fucking tripping balls when he did so. You think that did anything positive for me? No, that fucking... Every time he opened his mouth, their ears turned off and they pushed me on to somewhere else. It was fucking disrespectful as all hell. The abuse there in the Dalles when I was trying to turn this stuff in. Yeah, this stuff needs to be taken care of. And I don't mean taken care of in an Adolf Hitler, Heinrich Himmler, Fritz Saukel kind of way. We were supposed to defeat the Nazis, not become them. And here I see in America the people who have these jobs where they have a great deal of power. And they're not using that power right, if at all. That lady through Tides of Change screwed up really big the first time I went in. But she kind of seemed like she wants to do the right thing, so that's what I'm hoping for. Hoping for the best. That's all we can do, right? Hope. And yes, I'm doing things I'm not supposed to be doing. Doctors tell me not to twist, not to bend, not to lift anything more than 10 pounds. Also, I want to point out that I've got a bunch of evidence in this vehicle. If I lose this vehicle, I lose the evidence, I lose any chance at any kind of life. And that will leave me with only violence as an answer. I'm not okay with that. I'm fucking sick of violence. That's why I speak out instead of getting violent. But if all my evidence is taken away, then these predators will get away with doing this to more people, and that cannot be allowed. Just because law enforcement didn't want to do their jobs, and it got people killed. And then they wanted to utilize their positions to not only not do their jobs, but to try to frame innocent people for crimes that never fucking happened. To be assaulted by Scott DaCosta and Nebraska State Patrolmen for trying to turn in Scott DaCosta to the Nebraska State Patrol. While Nebraska State Patrol, this is the culmination of literally, oh my God, that fucking hurts. Years of abuse by DaCosta and his deputies. Years of it. And because I was trying to turn in my predators, I was abused as fuck. Now, that officer today asked me about if I'd been cut off or told not to call a place anymore, as far as 911 goes. Yes, and that's the problem, is that I always had to make the calls alone. Well, they pulled the bullshit that they pull when you have to fucking call them alone, when you have to do it alone. And the problem with the lady at Tides of Change is that she's not understanding that she's still making me do it alone. Making suggestions, I need a place to do this. Telling me to jump through 6 months of hoops before I have a place where I can sit down with the fucking evidence and go through it. My disabilities prevent me from being able to do that without assistance. I need actual assistance with that. And then with people going missing, there's that young woman there in Texas. Yeah, that needs to be turned in. That's something that needs to be investigated. All the situations with the FBI, can I trust them to investigate themselves? No. Were they involved in my situations? Yes, they were. If anybody bothered to do any investigating of their own, instead of listening to places that still can't get my age right. I'm trying to find one of these places that can even get that part right. Out of all these YouTube things, yeah, how many of them got even my age right? None. Not one. And these are the people that you're listening to. These are the people that you're harassing me over. People like Mike Boudet. See, here's the thing. The interview that I gave to Mike Boudet's friend and co-worker, Josh, was supposed to go to the police. And they were supposed to not release it. That was our agreement. They were supposed to release it until they caught the guy who killed Natalie. They didn't follow that. Now, the only reason I was trying to go that route is because I'd already gone to my friends about the situation with Natalie for almost a year before over a year before she was killed. First time I talked to Miss Peaches about it was, I believe, November of 2016. Natalie didn't disappear until over a year after that. She disappeared in December of 2017. Now, that officer today, he did a bunch of wrong shit, and it is recorded. There's a lot of stuff that he wasted our time with by telling me, like, you know, the making excuse for other officers. He doesn't know these officers. He's never met these officers. Being abused like this is not fucking okay. Now, with the lady at Tides of Change, with her telling me she's not able to do a whole bunch of stuff that, well, it's a 2-hour recording. You guys could probably listen to it if you wanted to. If you showed the initiative, I might send it to you. But there's also the private stuff that's in it. That private stuff is just her personal work number. So it's not a personal number. It's something that is through her agency. It is something that is in the realm of public domain. I had that all explained to me. That very complicated shit. But what it all comes down to is because I was called mentally ill, they can do whatever they want, and I have to have an advocate present. No matter what situation I'm in, an advocate has to be present, and that advocate has to have a vested interest in me. They have to actually care about my well-being, and if they don't do that, then I'm screwed. Now, when these lawyers tell me things like they're a dime a dozen, they're not talking about those kind of people. They say things when they talk about somebody who works for one of these agencies that actually gives a shit about you and is actually going to fight for your rights. They don't say dime a dozen. They say things like rare gem and rare jewel. Or you'd be a lucky man indeed. Or you might find one in 1,000 that's actually like that. Or what's the one that Marcia Estrada said? And although she's not a lawyer, she does actually know her shit pretty well. Yeah, that's recorded on here too. You can actually go back and listen into that. I recommend it. Highly recommend it. Anyway, I gotta go panhandle, I guess, and try to come up with money for vehicle insurance. It might be due tomorrow. It might be due on the 7th. I'm not for certain. I'm trying to find the stuff, and that's the thing about having internet access and having email access, is I can look this stuff up, but I can't force people to look at it. I can't force them to try to get actual evidence. I tell them about all the evidence that I got. They're not making much of an effort to look at. And I'm hoping, see, here's the thing about Martinez today. The way that he spoke to me and the way that he wanted to make excuses for officers elsewhere. I don't believe that Martinez is going to do a goddamn thing. I'm hoping so. When he found out who that man was, the guy driving the Dolphin, well, that's in the recording too. Me and Monica both speaking about it afterwards as well, about how, that piqued his interest, and he seems to know the guy and be familiar with him. And yeah, there's also Logan and Shayna and the stuff that went on there. That's the thing. Hood River needed to do something before it got out of hand. And it did got out of hand. And it got out of hand with Hood River Police Department, because Hood River Police Department wanted to be fucking assholes and harass the homeless. But then I got to go to the Dows to try to turn them in. What happened at the fucking Dows? I got fucking victimized like a motherfucker. And yes, I recorded it. Why the hell wouldn't I record it? You goddamn right I recorded it. When you go to these services that you're supposed to go to try to get help, and they try to fucking intimidate you, yes, there is a major goddamn issue. All right. Got a little bit of coffee here. I had somebody hook me up with some stuff, and then, of course, I got the remainder of what was on the card. So, although I got cool stuff like this, cool gift, right? Yeah! There's a unicorn, a skeletal unicorn. It was pretty cool. I would have wanted that one too, but not my money. Now, the remainder of what was on the card, I got to get what I wanted. So I got myself some instant coffee, and I got myself a jug of the cheapest gallon of water they had in there. It's like $1.29. And I got myself a bag of sugar, which this isn't it. When I come to places like this, it reminds me of why it is I'm sad that there's no Walmart in places like this. I forget about how expensive things are when there's no Walmart here as competition. At Walmart, they got these little bags of tuna fish, different flavors. And they're $1 at Walmart. They're like $2.29 here at Safeway. They're only like $1.30 in a town where there's Walmart. So there's a lot of markup. a lot of markup. So if Safeway can sell that for $2.30 here, and Walmart can sell it for $1 in Hood River. Hood River is a Richie Rich neighborhood, by the way. And also in Hood River, they've got this Richie Rich neighborhood with this Walmart that's got trash all along the fence line in massive abundance. It's cute. And the Safeway there can sell their tuna fish for only 30 cents more than the Walmart there. And here they're selling that same product, same exact product, for a whole $1 more at this Safeway than they are at the Safeway in Hood River. Now then we want to talk about how we want to leave Walmart out of it because it destroys the ma and pa shops. The Safeway is not a ma and pa shop. And it's not putting Safeway away either. When people vote out Walmart, I don't get it. I don't understand why people want to pay over double for everything that they purchase. Literally same exact brand, same exact package, made in the same exact fucking factory, delivered to Safeway, delivered to Walmart, delivered all over the United States. And we're talking about over twice the price here at Safeway than you would pay at Walmart. There's items in here that are $6 or $7 that I'd pay $2 for at Walmart. And then, of course, this is Safeway. They're cheaper than Fred Meyer's. Here at Safeway, something that's $4.99. At Fred Meyer's, it's $7.99. It ain't easy. I mean, I'm here because there's nothing in Portland. I gotta go to Eugene, I gotta go to Salem, I gotta go to Portland, I gotta go to all these places. You know what, I was just glad to find a place where I could fucking park. Holy Christ. I already been to Portland. I've already spoken to the homeless in Portland. I already found out what services are and are not there. I already found out who's going to say what at which one of those services. I even have recordings of people who are going to tell me the first and last names of the people that work at these different agencies and the excuses that are going to come out of each and every one of their mouths. Looking for Rebecca. That was a matter of going to Portland and looking. Actually using my eyes, actually going around and talking to people, and that's the thing, it's a lot of actual work, it's a lot of leg work. When CARE tells me to go to Tides of Change, and Tides of Change tells me, did you go to CARE? Yes, I did. They told me to come here. They told me about 11 other services, including yourselves, and I contacted 9 of those 11 services and got nowhere. Yes, I'm fully aware that there's 2 other services I haven't contacted. I've left messages, though. And it's overwhelming because no matter how much effort I make individually, these people, well, are they going to actually advocate for me? Are they going to actually speak up about how wrong it is to treat a person like this? Are they going to actually look up the laws? I know that with Martinez, no, I don't trust him as far as I can throw him. I don't trust him to do a proper investigation. Especially after him making excuses for those officers elsewhere. No, I'm telling you the scenario. I don't need you making excuses for crooked fucking cops, asshole. Do your fucking job. He also explained to me that here in Oregon, harassment means touching. You actually have to touch them for it to be harassment. Well, he did touch me more than once. Matter of fact, officers touched me as well. So those officers who touched me, that's harassment. When Dean was touched by them cops up there in Hood River, that's harassment, according to Oregon law. I was fairly certain that that's specifically physical harassment or physical intimidation by way of touching. But that depends on which state you're in, I suppose. Kind of like in some states, they call it a mental health hold. Some of them, they call it an M1 hold. It all depends on where you're at. No matter what you call it, I know hundreds of people who have gone through it. And I know that a lot of them don't come back after getting those injections. You know what injections I'm talking about. Haldol and Ativan. It makes about 8% of people who are injected with it. That's almost 1 in 10. It's like 1 in 11 and a half or some shit like that. But that's a pretty significant number of people who are going to experience at least temporary, if not long-term, schizophrenia. They're literally injecting people with drugs that make them schizophrenic, and we know, we have already identified, and so has the medical community, has already identified specifically Haldol and Ativan as horrible medications for that. First of all, Haldol in and of itself gives you a 2 to 3% chance of getting fucking schizophrenic as all hell off of getting injected with it. You've also got the fact that in 50% or more cases of people who either start off taking the medication or are injected with it, it gives them temporary insanity in the case of the injections. For some instances, for over 2 to 3 weeks, these people are schizophrenic. And then they get a week of sanity before it's time for another injection. That's the way they do it in the prisons. Even with the medical community saying these medications should be off of all of your lists, the United States government keeps pushing it because the cops want to keep pushing it. And since the cops keep pushing it, because it allows them to get away with so many felonies, you guys go right along with it, and the medical community is forced to go along with it, knowing the full effects of mixing Haldol with Ativan, and the fact that it increases your chances of becoming schizophrenic and delusional exponentially. And then when people are paranoid because of shit that keeps on happening, like what I've had to go through, yes, I have to keep on moving. People want to keep telling me bad advice, like, oh, just take care of yourself. I'm not capable, stupid. I need help. There's a lot of other people out here who need help too. They're not getting that help. If I can help, well, at least I am doing what needs to be done, which is boots on the fucking ground, motherfuckers. This Tina Kotek lady here in Oregon talking about putting more boots on the fucking ground. There are no boots on the fucking ground. It's the blind leading the blind out here. It's homeless person after homeless person being lied to over and over again by the same fucking people over and over again. And then, of course, they just believe it. Some of them don't have the ability to look it up. And I do feel bad for them, because then they go spreading false information to the homeless community, not even knowing that they're fucking lying to the other homeless people. Not even knowing that the shit that they were told, oh, let's just believe it because something with a badge said it. No. We have seen time and again how that gets people killed. We have plenty of people still missing in Louisiana swamps because of that line of thinking. We got plenty of folks still missing in Louisiana swamps because they were made forced to go to their predators to try to turn in their predators. What happens if you got an Alabama sheriff that a black man is trying to turn in because of what he's been doing to black folks? Well, that Alabama sheriff and some of his robed fellers, just take him to Louisiana. No problem. Put some rocks in his belly. He'll never resurface. Or so they thought. What ended up happening in that case? Well, there's thousands just like that one, aren't there? Which case is that in specific? How many of you would be able to, just from the information that I gave you, be able to tell specifically which person it was that was missing? Most of you can't. Even the civil rights leaders, you couldn't. Even if you had the right year, it'd be difficult. But at least y'all are starting to listen to black folks, right? Unless they're homeless. And that's the real key right there. I'm not fighting for just black people. I'm not going to pretend that speaking out about homeless rights and the victimization that the homeless people go through, I'm not going to pretend for one fucking moment that that takes away from the black people's cause. No, it shows the rampant victimization and how we have taught police nationwide to victimize poor people. The more poor you are, the more it's oh fucking K. And if you go down that line of questioning, just like Officer Lynn here in Tillamook, you go down that line of questioning, and what does it eventually come to? Money. Just like the rest of you. You know who you can victimize because they're alone and they don't look like they have any money. If it's not a pretty girl, it's probably a go-ahead. If it is a pretty girl, you're probably going to have to go more extreme, because if she's a pretty girl, people will probably listen to her. Matter of fact, if she's a pretty girl, you should probably just steer clear of her, because she can lie about something or pretend that something might, maybe, possibly happen. And people will destroy your entire life. People will abuse you everywhere you go. There's one guy I know, he just started talking to his parents again after having a mean girlfriend in high school. By mean, I shouldn't say mean, I should just say evil. She thought they should get married, and he wasn't down with getting married. He said after college. So she wanted, well, she didn't want to go to the law. She wanted to go to his parents and tell his parents that he had forced himself on her. And she had a change of heart, which is nice. She got off the drugs and went all Christian, and went back over and told his parents what she'd done and that she was sorry. And she did the whole crying bit. That's pretty important. You got to do the whole crying bit, or, well, in that case, these parents had lost almost 20 years of their son's life because, well, they assumed because she was a female. Now, she had to go through rehab and realize what she had done is wrong. No, she knew it was fucking wrong when she did it. Just like Natalie knew what she did was wrong when she did it. Just like Alicia Bollinger knew what she did was wrong when she did it. Just like Rose M. Kelly knew what she did was wrong when she did it. And Danica Garner knew what she did was wrong when she did it. And Ted Bollinger for goddamn sure knew that raping his own fucking daughters was not an okay thing to do. I got a thing of rubbing alcohol here, and I'm trying to clean up my little decanter thing here. Although now I probably shouldn't drive for a few minutes, because if I get pulled over, they might think I've been drinking. Anyway, there's the stuff that Monica, or not Monica, but hold on a second. There's some stuff that I'm expected to do, according to the officer and also the lady with the tides of change. It's a matter of having a place to do it. There's also the fact that I really do need to make sure that there's a media outlet involved. If any of you know of any media outlets that might actually give a shit, if you could send them this information about Natalie Bollinger and explain to you about, well, the reality of the situation, maybe they'll listen. When it comes to human trafficking, you do need to listen to homeless women. Very specifically, homeless women are who you need to listen to. News breaks. 6 police officers shot dead among... Let me see what that says. I seem to be getting a lot of friend requests from people from Muslim nations or with Islamic names. I don't get it. Yes, I am absolutely 100% against what this country stands for at the moment, because right now, what we're doing for the homeless is about the equivalent of when Jews tell you about how the Nazis are treating them. You say, oh, well, here's our good friend, Uncle Adolf Hitler, and he's going to help you guys out. Yeah, that's not going to work, dude. A lot of these places telling me about their limitations. No, they're not limited in that way. They choose to limit themselves in that way. I've seen what they're capable of doing for women. It's 10 times harder a fight to get unhomeless once you're already there. That's why most of these places triage. They'll help out specifically people who already have a roof over their head and have somebody there with them. Those are the two primary factors when it comes to assistance of the sort that I need. As a male, those are my only chances. Anyway, good to be rid of you. Thanks for coming to visit. Stay out of trouble or don't get caught. Remember, you are your brother's keeper and no victim left behind. I'll make another video later.